Press. He's starting out with the resumption of Middle East peace talks, aren't you, Nick?
Hi to you, Stuart, and hi to everybody. And those Middle East peace talks began in Washington with a state dinner hosted by John Kerry, US Secretary of State. And the Washington Post has this cartoon, which shows the Palestinians, the Israelis and the Americans round the table. The Americans there, Uncle Sam saying, we've got our work cut out for us here. The Palestinians on one side are playing that board game Risk about occupying territory. And Israel is playing, you guessed it, Monopoly. The only common thing about those two games is that they both use dice.
At least nobody's playing Cluedo, I suppose. What about more serious reaction, though, Nick?
Well, I saw a piece in the Jerusalem Post written by Gilad Sharon, who is the son, no less, of Ariel Sharon. Now, he is saying there, you can see that story, it's time for an Israeli initiative. Now, he says Israel now should agree to a smaller Palestinian state, and that way that would put them on the back foot. It would put the Palestinians in a position where if they don't agree, they have to explain themselves, and that would stop the world treating Israel as the oppressor yet again. I also turned to The Independent in the UK for a bit of more balanced analysis. Its editorial is saying the US now must make its leverage count in Israel. It says no one ever lost money betting against the Mideast peace process. Yes, there's no optimism really in the long run. But if there were a breakthrough, it argues, what could that mean for the whole region? Because what we're seeing is a great need for a psychological breakthrough when so many countries are in trouble. So sort of like looking for the speck of optimism out of so many difficult problems that the Middle East is facing.
And one country that does seem in danger right now is Tunisia. A lot of coverage in the papers.
Well, we talk a lot about the Huffington Post, don't we? But there is also a Huffington Post Maghreb version for North Africa, and that includes Tunisia, of course. There you can see the Prime Minister of Tunisia, Ali Larayed. Now, he's announced elections for the 17th of December. There, the headline, Quitte ou double, double or quits. And it's saying that he's really put forward proposals now that should mark the path for Tunisia in the next few months. Another newspaper, Capitalist, is saying what he's done in announcing new elections and various other proposals is just not enough. There you can see Capitalist, their piece. It's saying that Larayed and the Ennahda government is incompetent, arrogant and a threat for Tunisia. So obviously very tense times for Tunisia there.
And you've also been looking at Italian politics, haven't you, Nick?
Well, we're awaiting the Supreme Court decision, aren't we, about his tax fraud case. He could be jailed from public office, banned from public office as well as jailed. Now, I turn to Il Giornale, which is the paper owned by his brother, Paolo, which is defiant, saying any negative verdict would be an injustice. It would lead to the resignation of 200 of Berlusconi's MPs, almost 200 MPs and senators. The whole ruling coalition would collapse, in fact, because the opposition Partito Democratico, the Democratic Party, is in coalition with Berlusconi's party. Also in the other paper I looked at, Libero, another Italian paper, saying, well, yes, for the enemies of Berlusconi, there's no joy either, depending on what the verdict is, because if they were to find that Berlusconi went to jail, they would lose their public enemy number one, and they would have to justify their existence and explain their own arrogance and incompetence as well. So Italian politics, great fun, of course. And just to end, I saw this in The Guardian, which I'm sure you'll like. It's a picture of Vladimir Putin, a big friend of Berlusconi's, by the way. Now, that pike there is supposed to be 20 kilos, except that going around the Facebook pages and Twitter pages in Russia now is the argument that no, it's 12 or 13 kilos, this pike that Putin has said to have caught. And of course, this is all headlined by The Guardian as "What a Whopper, Putin's fishy tail." So that whole story. The Kremlin weigh fish like they weigh votes is one comment in that piece.
Perhaps he bit a chunk out of it as he dragged it out of the
Putin and
water.
Berlusconi, they just happen to be ruling the planet, don't they?
Fantastic. All right, Nick, thanks very much. Nick Rushworth with the International Press Review here on France 24. Very latest headlines coming up for you. Of course, still following those Israeli-Palestinian peace talks and Egypt as well, all after the break on France 24. Do stay with us if you can.